Hey, Janice, have you found yourself, after all the work that we've done, falling into old patterns, realizing you're in an old pattern, and then beating the shit out of yourself for being in
Not
it?
me. Not me. Not me. Never.
No, me either.
Oh, shoot.
This week on Be Here Now, a Peaceful Empowerment Works production, we are tackling the topic of numbing out. Old pattern with a new perspective. That's right. We automatically assume that when we're in that old pattern that it's a bad thing. Janice and I are going to bring a whole new perspective to old patterns. So we want to thank you for joining us. We are live on the newstreamingnetwork.com TV podcast and WGSN-DB Going Solo Radio. If you enjoy our content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. I noticed the inflection I used. I can't help but want to go afterwards. I just say Janice Leonard, which is but so I tried it different, and it was different. The energy is different. Janice Leonard. Oh, I'm gonna have to keep the up inflection.
Yeah, we celebrate, girl. We celebrate.
That's right. How you doing, Judy?
I'm good. How's your week been?
Lots of learning. A lot of growth opportunities.
See? I love it.
It is perfect for this week's topic, I'll tell you, too. I continue. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Judy and I, we're here. We love being, sharing, and trying to be present with you all. And we are a 501c3 organization. So if you're interested, you can donate. We appreciate any help you can give as we pay for it ourselves to run. And to do that, you can go to our website, which is www.peacefulempowermentworks.org. And there's a donate button at the top of the screen, one at the bottom of the screen, and you can get a tax-deductible donation.
Woohoo! We appreciate you.
Yeah, we sure do.
All right, Janice, would you like to bring us in, please?
I would love to. Oops. Sorry about this. Wait a minute. Start over. I hit the microphone. Okay.
In through your nose. Out through your mouth. That is lovely. Lovely, lovely. So we've had a change in our format, a slight change. We are going to do, Janice wanted to do a segment on gratitude. So we are doing a segment now called An Attitude of Gratitude.
Yes. If you watch us, you know I've tried to do this attitude exercise every day. And I tried doing videos for it so that I would do it. And it did work. I was much more disciplined. I did a video and I made a difference. That minute of gratitude just helped. Mm-hmm. And so here I am to try to bring it here. Not doing it on TikTok anymore. I feel like that's not the place. So I'm gonna move it. I think it feels less part of who we want to be, and I'm gonna direct it to us. So here we go. My one for today is not someone a stranger to you if you're regular. And Silveria, why don't you play my video? Bo, what you looking at? Waiting for Daddy to come home? Are you waiting for Daddy to come home? Yeah, me too. Listen. Yes, this is the powerful moment at the end of the day, which my dogs sit there and look down the driveway for my husband to come up. And that's my Bo. And he is just, you can't look at that face and not feel a little gratitude, a little happiness. And that's my moment. That's Bo. He's also here on my lap. He loves to cuddle, and he's got that face that's what I'm grateful for today. And what I do in my video is, and I say, what about you? Let's take a minute. Take a minute. Think about it. What are you grateful for?
Yeah. Put
Deep
it down.
breath. Share it with us. Share it with us now. Share it with us later on our messages. And taking just a minute just makes a difference.
It really does. I am grateful. It's going to sound corny, but I'm grateful for you because you continue to show up for yourself and for me and for the viewers. And you share so openly and honestly. You allow yourself to be vulnerable. And it's extremely important for people to see that and to have that modeled for them, especially at a time where a lot of people are struggling harder now than ever before because a lot of turmoil and chaos is going on in the world, and which if you don't have the tools, you soak up that chaos and hold it within you. And we come on here every week, and you have your fair share of chaos in your life, and I have mine. And it's funny because Laura and I were talking about you last week. Yes, I know. Laura and I were talking about you and reflecting back to when we first met you. And I know we've talked about this on the show. We've touched on it before. But when we first met you, I don't even know if you realized the first 2 classes we sat in with you, you barely said a word. You didn't interact. You didn't open up. You didn't feel comfortable or safe. And you went from that person to somebody who shows up on a weekly basis, willing to share your truth and your struggles. And I am so grateful for you to do this show with me and share that vulnerable side of you. So today I am grateful for you, Janice.
Oh, that's so nice. I was in a dark place. When we started, that's for sure.
Yeah, we were all
Thank you.
hard. So my hope for you is that you can celebrate how hard you worked and how far you've come. And, I know you struggle with happiness, but I want you to embrace how much joy and happiness you bring to people by showing up here. So.
Take it in. Okay. I hear you. Okay.
Good job. And that's another thing. Janice is learning to receive. So very well done.
Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Moving forward to our good news story. What's our good news story this week?
I know there's what brings you happiness and what brings you good news. And I like this part too, because, if you watch any media, there's so much around you that's scary. And so this is important. This is important that we share this amazing story. It's great, especially today. My niece would have been 37 today, 38. And she's on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, and I think of her today. She did pass away this past, was it Christmas? Yeah, it was right after Christmas. It was terrible. And here we go. So this, especially today, in memory of my niece Michelle, it's close to my heart. And this is a story about. Oh, actually, I wrote up notes so I wouldn't forget any part of it. But so picture this. I'm going to challenge you to picture this. Here you are. And of course, now I can't see you. Oh, there we go. Here we are. You get a call. There's the cops are called for an aggressive teen. So many of them will show up. There they are with their guns and in force with all kinds of them. And there's an 18-year-old boy here. He's on the spectrum, and he's large in size. And you can imagine the scenario. They all show up, and they're bracing for possible escalation worried that this distress is escalating and fear from hurting himself or others. Here we are. And in arrives Officer Tim Purdy. And he sat down right next to him. As you can see in the other picture. Thanks, Judy. That was great. Mm-hmm. Instead of rushing in with commands and orders, he sat there at eye level with him, asked him about his day, noticed the bracelet he was wearing, asked some comments, and apparently our young man took out a piece of gum, didn't offer him a piece, which made the officer laugh. And then the teen laughed, and then he just sat there and they kind of opened up, and he spent like 30 minutes sitting there with him and connecting. So it's just amazing how approaching this situation with empathy and seeing the person and not the problem. Oh, I just, that was, when they said that was so key to me. You saw the person, not the problem. Mm-hmm. And the most powerful tool that they had for this situation, it was their understanding and their love. And that's my good news story. It's an officer going with compassion and looking at the problem, not the person. The person, not the problem. There we go. I said that backwards.
I love that so much. And that the eye level is so important because, the police are authority figures anyway. And, he's a big kid. Trying to power over him is going to cause more resistance. So that getting down to eye level and wanting to have a genuine, authentic connection, it changes everything. The boy was in crisis already, so he's already in fight or flight. And yelling orders and all those kind of things to him, it just escalates that feeling of fear. So what a beautiful story about, and that's human, that's one human to another. Yeah. Beside the fact that he was a cop or anything, that's a human connection. I'm going to meet you where you're at, and I'm going to talk to you until you feel safe enough to trust me. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So and it ended wonderfully. They walked away together, and his mother was there by then. And, that could have been fatal to many people there. It could have been. Yeah. And, I struggle with this because my granddaughter, she has a disability, social emotional disability. So she's not in the spectrum, but I can relate to it because she'll get into this place where she freaks out and, there's no getting to her. Right. And we had an incident at the end of last year where, it was the less structured time this school year and she doesn't do well. And they're supposed to go someplace else. And she's like freaking out. And one of the school administrators, professionals, I guess, we're talking to her. You got to be with the class because she has a tendency to wander. Mm-hmm. You got to be so get with the class. You got to go next to the class. And she's like, no, I can't. I'm having an anxiety attack. No, you got to. And then she left the phone. So I heard this whole thing. She left the phone on because she had just called me. And she was like, well, this sounds like a medical problem. Then go down to the nurse. Oh my gosh, and then she goes down to the nurse and the nurse calls me. She's here and she's made some bad choices today. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, this is a person with an emotional disability. Mm-hmm. This is not how you approach her in the middle of one of her, I'll call it an episode because meltdowns, right. Oh my gosh, and it's pretty basic. Well, I don't know.
And only because I know more of the story, they have a process in place, which they're supposed to follow when she comes to them. And they didn't follow the process.
No. And I had to pick her up. I had to pick her up that day from school. The nurse said I need to come pick her up because she can't stay. And I didn't. I let her not go to school the rest of the year, which was 3 more days, mind you. But it's because having that unstructured time, and they usually have a counselor on staff who's on maternity leave, and her case manager happened to be off that day. But I just
so her support,
I know they have.
Her support was follow the process.
Yeah. So, we have a meeting before school starts this year, but she's ready to not go back to school. So just that one incident makes a difference. I'm like, is she even going to graduate now? It was that bad. Her response was just so traumatic. So, just look at that officer game again. It's the same thing, different scenario. You've got a child in distress, fight or flight, and approaching it. There's different ways you can approach it. You can approach it with compassion and looking and understanding and empathy, or you can approach it with, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and
Right.
you well, officers are probably more trained on approaching with, you've got to do this. This is their approach, and to
Right.
see that officer just reinforces so much, and in my thinking.
Absolutely. Great story. Wonderful. Wonderful. There's so much goodness out there, people. Focus on the kindness, the respect, the empathy, because I believe that's all part of us reconnecting as people, community, is we have to find our compassion again, and our empathy, and our willingness to listen. Not listen to respond, but listen. Hold the space and listen, and be curious.
Yeah.
Curious. He mentioned the bracelet, and then the gum coming out gave them a chuckle. It's about learning to connect on a human level again. I feel like, so technology is wonderful, but being able to hide behind a screen has certainly changed how people connect and communicate.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very different. So when we can focus on, always being told to, use your powers for good, not evil. Well, let's use our powers to spread more light, love, and joy in the world. Because there's plenty of it out there. It's just not spotlight. That's why Janice and I do this here.
Yep.
I'm going to climb down off my soapbox now.
So I bet you someone out there needed to hear that reinforced today, though.
I hope so.
I believe. I don't hope, I believe.
I love that. All right, so let's move on to Pathways to Peace. And we talk about our wonderful topic this week, numbing out. Old pattern. Beautiful. Okay, so you know me. I go to Psychology Today and find out what they have to say about it. And there was a nice little article there. So from Psychology Today, numbing out refers to coping practices that take the edge off your stress immediately. Numbing out means you don't think about or feel your stress. Numbing out includes binging on food, TV, the internet, social media, excessive use of alcohol, drug abuse, and gambling. Yeah, so basically anything you can use to disappear. Now, binging on food, check. TV, check. Internet, check. Social media, right on. Excessive alcohol, been there. Drug abuse, I can say, no, didn't do that. And gambling, not a gambler. I'll just walk into a casino and hand them my freaking money and walk out. Yeah. So when I read these, I was like, wow, okay. I was a master at numbing out for quite some time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I was really, really good at it.
Yes.
Yes. I would say my most stressful time and numbing out was used to disappear and disconnect was after my mom died. I'm sure I've probably used binging on food since I was little because of the whole diet thing. But what comes to front of mind right away is after my mom died. There was an awful lot of alcohol consumption, eating of food and watching TV, and the internet still wasn't a big thing yet, but it was on its way. So, and yeah, did I launch into it saying I need to numb my feelings and I don't want to deal with this? No, it was something that I did, and gradually realized I felt better. The hangovers didn't feel so great, but I felt better in the act of it because I could take my mind off of all of the things that there was a lot of events that occurred after my mother died right away that left me feeling like an orphan. We'll just put it that way. And so there was a lot of upheaval and hurt feelings and anger and frustration. And I just got tired of being angry all the time. So I would partake in the alcoholic beverages, and that could make me fun and lighthearted again. But yet the next morning when I woke up, it didn't even feel the same. It felt even heavier. Yeah. So then I'd have to drink more because I didn't like feeling that. And it was just an endless, hopeless cycle until I was just numb to all emotions. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel depressed. The only emotion I would allow myself to feel was anger. And I was really good at expressing anger. Wow. Yeah. So, that was an interesting process for me as far as the numbing out. What about with you, Janice?
Well, I remember in my very beginning of my journey to self-awareness and healing, I did therapy for many years. I do remember one of the first things I became aware that I was doing is I'd have this ability to disassociate. I could actually sit there, like, I know I recognized it in counseling, so I'm sure I must have done it outside of counseling, but I could sit there and I could just disassociate. So
you would associate during therapy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
I didn't want to look at anything. Yeah.
Right.
And, and so that was my first step, is actually being aware that I could disassociate. And I was pretty good at it. And, and then I think I mentioned this last time, we did a lot of talking with, what are you scared of? What are you scared of? Why what do you want to be present? And, I don't want to talk about that, what's going to happen. Well, if I talk about that, I actually believed that, in subconsciously, I'm not consciously, but I'll die. Mm-hmm. The level of my need to not feel was, I believed I would, at some level, I believed I'd die if I looked at, if I looked at the loss of, let's say, my mother or my problems with my stepmother, that they were so huge. Mm-hmm. That looking at it would kill me.
They consume you, literally consume you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I started in this. I don't think I disassociate anymore, but maybe I'll become aware that I do still. And so this is something I've done since I was a kid. And the TV was really helpful, and eating. I would do anything to. And then you talk about hangover for alcohol, but the hangover for overeating is how you hate yourself after. It's like you eat, you don't feel you're taking care of yourself. You think by eating this treat food, whatever, and then as soon as you're done, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, and then you do that whole thing and get unhealthy responses to that. I was bulimic for quite a few years, and because how can you live with that part? If being overweight is part of why you want to shut down, then you eat. So that was quite a cycle, and so
excellent.
That's a lot of the stuff, and I still like to shut down, but I think when I was thinking of the topic, what time is it? Okay. When I was thinking of the topic, I'll finish this. I think they'll fit better later.
Okay. Well,
abruptly.
And it's funny because it made me think of the binge watching TV hangover too. Because for me, I'd be like, oh my God, I sat on the couch all day and didn't do anything. And then I'd beat myself up for being a lazy piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the beatings are awful. Worse than the actual crime, we'll say.
Yeah. and that's part of, I think, this new look at it is how offensive is this shutdown compared to what you do to yourself about it, so
Ab-
I think that's a whole spin that we're dealing with now and you're trying to get over, which I love. I love what you're
yes.
doing.
Okay, so this is a perfect place for us to take a pause for a commercial, and we will be right back.
Thanks.
And
I
we're
know
back.
it.
We are talking about numbing out old pattern with a new perspective. And Janice and I shared how we have numbed out in the past, and this whole topic came about because Janice and I were talking through our hiatus. We had met up, and Janice was talking about watching TV, numbing out in front of the TV, and she started that process of beating herself up. And all of a sudden, I started hearing, "Wait a minute, wait a minute." Is this true? Are you numbing out in the same way that you used to, with the same intentions? So we got to explore that with Janice and thought it would be a wonderful topic for this show. So what happened? You were in that old pattern, and then what allowed you to see it differently?
Well, working with you and Massville U, and yeah, retiring, well, semi-retiring, I was still working, and you have the more time you can. Working is still an escape. I never dealt with any emotion, well, unless I was having a work related issue. I didn't have to deal with any emotions while you're working, right? You focus on what you're doing, and I was able to really focus on things.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the healing. I mean, part of the not dealing. And so through this, one of the things that's happened, this is perfect because I can just, this week I've been thinking about it. And I was thinking about, I like true crime. I do like true crime. And especially today, as I'm thinking about this, because I was watching with someone that's at jury watch right now. Right now, yesterday, the bad guy actually testified for himself, and it was crazy. Listening to this guy is crazy, and so I think, oh, there I am watching true crime. That's my shut down. But the thing is I thought, but is that terrible that I watch true crime? I mean, that's interesting. It's kind of interesting, and then Judy, of course, talked to her, and she challenged me in some of my beliefs, which is, I said, I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. Like right now, I want to see what the jury's going to say when the verdict comes in. Hopefully, they find him guilty. But why do you like it? Oh, I do like it. I do like it because I love justice. I love watching the bad guy get punished because maybe things have happened to me. Didn't have any control over. There was no resolution to it. They didn't get punished. They didn't get. There's so much unfair. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why I need to have justice. Maybe that's the history of it, but I like this. So going from not shutting down in a way, I'm thinking about people's energy. So
Mm-hmm.
not judging myself for that. I don't. Of course, that's not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I do enjoy it. And why am I so thinking anything? Oh, that's I'm shutting down, bad, bad, bad. Stop that. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the process I'm going through with it.
Well, I mean, it's funny because Janice and I were talking about it because I have too found myself because there's a lot going on energetically and all these things, and it gets overwhelming. And I too find myself sitting in front of a TV show, oddly enough, murder mysteries. Mm-hmm. and zoning out, as we would say. But the biggest difference now in doing this versus back then, my whole intention back then was just to disappear, not feel anything, not have to deal with anything, and just be able to focus on something that was frivolous and didn't demand anything from me or require me to feel. This fun thinking, like trying to figure out who killed the person, the mystery, that's fun for me. Just like Janice, it's fun because it helps me exercise that discernment muscle. Even though it's entertainment, everything is energy, and truth carries a very different energy than all the other chaos and distractive stuff. And I'm working to exercise that muscle to increase my ability to discern for myself. So going into it, it's with the intention of allowing my mind to rest. Not checking out completely and not feeling anything, but understanding that, okay, my body, my mind need to rest. I still understand that energetically and on a cellular level, things are still happening and working. And if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I need to get the hell out of the way and allow whatever's going on to go on, whatever's happening to happen. Because if I'm constantly trying to figure out what's going on and I'm constantly trying to control what's going on, I'm getting in the way. And that has to do with a lot of, we touch on energetic upgrades and all these kind of things that are going on with our bodies that we may not understand. But when we start experiencing more joy, more happiness, more truth, then I like to just talk about it as our body starts to carry more light. Because I think I shared on the show before about how, I had this vision of black goo and white, beautiful light and all that kind of stuff. And the majority of us is filled up with the black goo. But every time we are allowed to face a truth, a shadow, and take the power out of it, then that black goo is let go of and we carry more light. So that's the way I see my process. That works for me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So the whole numbing out thing has a whole different approach now because I don't even, it's more like a pause. It's the power of the pause. Where numbing out used to be to disappear and disconnect. Now it's about allowing what needs to happen, even though I don't understand what it is.
It's interesting because you made me think about the intention because tips and tools, that's like the first one. Mm-hmm. And this morning I did it. I said, I want to wake up and turn on TV. Okay, what's my intention? Well, you know what? Part of it's I'm alone and I just want to hear voices in that. So, in time when maybe I just beat myself up for doing something, it's like, well, that's part of it. But really, what is your intention? And I think a lot of it's habit.
Yeah.
That's what I do. My habit is to not have the external thinking. My habit is to have that to listen to, so I don't have to think. My habit is to, call it whatever you want, shut down, whatever. But I don't want to think about. Yeah, there you go.
Distract. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. So, tips and tools. When you feel the urge to numb out, pause and ask yourself the intention behind the desired break. Okay, why do I need this? Why do I want this? Because that alone means you're not repeating an old pattern. If you're aware enough to ask the question, that's not an old pattern. It's a tool. It's a tool now because you are making a decision and a choice out from a place of awareness. So if your intention is to crawl into a dark hole and escape your life so that you never have to feel or face your emotions, that's an old pattern. If you don't desire to ever come out and feel again, that's old. And something I'm being guided to talk about right now is there are a lot of old patterns coming up to the surface because they're on their way out. Just like Janice and I are saying, okay, so the second I ask the intention behind the numb out, again, takes that old, unaware, automatic response out. That's gone. It's no longer autopilot that sends me into numb out because I'm asking the question. If your intention is to take a little break to allow yourself to breathe and do something that you enjoy, watch a podcast, which food, that will allow you to see things from a different and new perspective. And why is that? Because when we're feeling that overwhelm and the need to numb out, take a break, it's an indication that we're headed into fight or flight. And when we're in that space and energy of fight or flight, we can't see things from a different perspective. So when you take that break, you understand the intention behind it. You breathe and you intentionally do something you enjoy. And it doesn't have to be a production, something you enjoy. It can be playing your favorite song. It could be watching a favorite podcast. Anything that's going to lighten your mood. Laughter, laughter is something huge in my family. I grew up with laughter around the house all the time. We were the crazy family that sat and listened to comedy albums as a family.
Nice.
So laughter was always a big thing in our house. So when you can find something to laugh at, laugh with, that automatically raises your vibration and allows you to come back and look at whatever it is you knee-jerk wanted to escape from. Now you get to come back with a fresh set of eyes, a fresh perspective, and instead of feeling the pressure and stress around the experience, you can start looking for a solution, a resolution. Not a Band-Aid, a temporary fix, but something that can bring balance and peace. And sometimes that's doing nothing. There's an experience that's going on, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to make it better because it's not yours. It's for the other person to take care of. So just having that pause, intention is everything.
Wow. It makes me think of the feeling I have a lot of times. I would normally say always, but see, I'm getting better. A lot of times, my mind is just that is I don't want to feel anxious because being present makes me feel anxious. So it's like that's the part of the sequence for me. And I don't like myself when I'm anxiety. I'm not the best person. I don't experience life that well. And
Okay.
so I wonder, it's just a thought. It's interesting that that's part of it, the sequence for me, I think.
It's interesting. There's a heavy belief that anxiety comes from fear of the future. So if you're totally present in the present moment, is it possible for anxiety to be present with you?
Well, I think that's my habit. That's my go-to. It's not a thoughtful process. I guess that's the whole point of this, right? Is to stop and what the intention is and what's happening.
Yeah. Explore the intention. Ask the questions. Get curious about your own patterns. And when you can get curious about the pattern, when I got into this whole healing thing, I felt like I had to throw out everything that was once me. And that's not the case at all. Because yes, there are damaging patterns. Do I drink like a freaking fish anymore? No, I don't. Did I stop drinking completely? No, I didn't. I'm able to drink socially and things like that. Are there some patterns that, the pattern to automatically beat myself up and consider myself a piece of trash? Yeah, I got rid of that pattern. That was not helpful.
Yeah.
understanding that my brain requires a break once in a while to get the hell out of the way and allow things to happen. Okay, I'm good with that because I understand what's going on. And it's my choice. Before it became such a pattern, it wasn't a choice.
Automatic.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. When you pause and ask the question, then it becomes a choice. And anything can happen after that.
Yes.
Okay, we have an exciting new segment to end the show with. I love it. Janice is like, hey, why don't we do something like this to end the show? And hell yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I find really helpful is when we did the book club, homework didn't work for me. Not that it was good to, I mean, because then I felt like, oh no, I didn't do it. I didn't, and then the whole judgment thing took over. But what I love is having something to think about. Like when we do the show, what's helpful to me is as I think, okay, what's next week's show? And I try to, take intention to think about it in my life and what do I do? And it's something that I end up doing. So I said, why don't we try this? If we could just end the show with just something to think about that can, to have everyone just a thought you can think about this week and to help grow and maybe look at something. I thought that'd be cool. And fortunately, Judy was like, yes. There's these what if cards I saw on the internet. Of course, now I'm sent them all the time because you know how the algorithm knows what you're interested in. So I did order them. I don't have them yet, so I've taken it from some other ones that I've seen, and I hope you find this is something you can think about. Maybe grow a little, or get a little happier, or some awareness or something from.
Mm-hmm. And our new segment is called.
Oh, I scared my dog.
Something to chew on.
Yeah, everything's got to reference food for me, so that works. So this is the thought. What if you had one day left to live? What would you regret not having done in life?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think on that one. I'm sitting here
something
thinking,
to chew on.
Is it good that I don't have an immediate response to that? I don't know. Does it have to be good, bad? Come on, Judy, what's your problem?
There you go. Get into that old pattern of judgment and judging yourself. All right.
Right here for everybody to see. Excellent. I love it. And if and when you would like to share, feel free to share it in the comments under the show, especially, wherever it is you're viewing it, listening to it. Janice and I do our best to check the platforms for comments so that we can respond. So yeah, I love it. Great new segment. We want to thank you all for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
you are not alone.
And don't ever forget, you're awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
So glad to have